Sorry, guys, I'm late.
No, you're okay.
No
Welcome,
worries.
ladies and gentlemen, to our Friday night roundtable. As usual, the Liberty First Foundation. I'm here with co-founders Mike Marshall and Frank Johnson. We're going to talk about some of the FBI's audacity and what they did with the Mar-a-Lago house and some other things and whatever you guys want to talk about tonight. Frank?
I honestly don't know. I remember the FBI used to stand for fidelity, bravery, and now I don't know what the hell the FBI stands for, but it's not really. Well, anybody who's surprised about what the FBI did this week really has to take a gut check and look back at history, because ever since the FBI was founded, it's been used by the left wing as a political tool against their enemies. Way back. When was the FBI founded? 1917 or something to that effect. It's been used in one way or another just to go after people for political purposes, and the fact that they're going after Trump now should be of no surprise. It's just a matter of, okay, what did they do? What did they take? And how is Trump going to respond to this thing, other than the couple of tweets that has been put out now? I saw his son Eric put out a tweet that said they have on video some FBI agents acting quote unquote improperly. Now, what does improperly mean? Were they there to plant evidence? Were they there to, take things that weren't under the scope of their warrant? Because the FBI came in and the first thing they did is they demanded that all security cameras get turned off. Now, as far as I know, the Supreme Court has said if you're under interrogation of law enforcement, or that you're under a search and seizure warrant, you have the right to videotape what's going on. You have the right to see what's going on. So for the FBI to come out and say, oh, you have to shut off your security cameras, as far as I'm concerned, anything that would be collected at that point, I'm sorry, I have to look at with a certain amount of skepticism. How much validity can you put on something? I mean, they can't even prove the chain of custody at that point. But like I said, I just don't know.
Hey, guys.
Hey,
Mr.
guys.
Voss, how are you?
All right. It seems I got in a little bit late. You started off the party without me.
That's okay. We were late as well. Mike Marshall, your intake on it?
Well, from what I've seen of it so far, and I haven't, my week's been extremely hectic as usual. But from what I've seen about this so far, Trump's lawyer, just as soon as she found out about it, went directly to Mar-a-Lago, and she was not allowed to. Just as soon as she found out about it, enter directly to Mar-a-Lago.
Who is that? That's not me.
No, that was me. I have 3 other computers going over here, and I just hit the audio on one.
Okay.
You were saying, Michael? I'm sorry.
Okay, but she requested to be able to witness what was going on and watch, and she was forbidden to. Nobody was allowed to watch. I had heard that they hold on just a second.
Yep.
While he's away
Sorry,
down
I had to
at
let my dog out.
debris.
He's right back.
Oh.
No, it was a canine break.
It was. That they had requested that all security cameras be shut off in the residence and etc. That leads me to believe that there are some underhanded dealings. Why do they need security cameras shut off? Typically in a raid or a warrant service, that's not one of the things that's requested. Okay, in fact, if anything, they would want that surveillance to prove that, number one, evidence wasn't planted, and number two, that they conducted themselves admirably or professionally in the service of the warrant. So all those things really lead me to speculate, okay, do we have law enforcement that works for the citizens of the United States, or do we have a Gestapo that's under the order of a dictator or an authoritarian?
Well, no, go ahead, Bess.
Yeah, I was just going to add something that I don't know if you guys covered this yet or not. So, one of my problems starts with the fact that we know for a fact the FBI was in Mar-a-Lago in January, and they removed 15 boxes of information, of data, and they took that out, possibly because of classification. We know that in June, the FBI returned and again inspected Mar-a-Lago and took further documents and then after that requested that there would be a padlock put onto that room for other classified documents. So 2 times at least, we know that the FBI was present. They had received documentation without any problem, with cooperation from the Trump administration, or excuse me, Trump lawyers.
Go lay down, Lex.
And then they detailed all of the documents that were held in Mar-a-Lago. So now they're saying that they have an informant, which means there's another spy in surrounding Trump again, which they denied the first time, and we found out was true. So we have another informant, which is most likely a spy, someone who is spying on a former president, said that there's what is now being said to be nuclear submarine documents, possibly nuclear codes that were there, which they saw in January and they saw again in June and did not deem important enough to take at that time. And because this unknown potential spy decided to tell the FBI to come in to get this, they then returned with a SWAT team with this search and seizure and then picked everyone out for the 9 hours. And as we've discussed, went around investigating the entire house with cameras that were supposed to be turned off. That's a dog.
Oh,
I was going to say, it sounds like the monster from the Ghostbusters invaded
No.
our broadcast.
It's Director Ray and A.G. Merrick coming after us. That's what it is. They're creeping up after us.
It's my pups.
Yeah. So we know that they have
Enough.
been there. They documented everything. They already knew everything that was there. This was a setup. In every sense of the way, we can only determine that since they knew what was there, they knew everything that was available. This was a setup, and I believe, and I've spoken about this just yesterday on a different roundtable. They did this because of 2 things. One, they wanted to do an October surprise, which is why they didn't initially have the news media reporting about this. Trump had to report about it. And 2, that they're trying to connect this to the January 6th. They were on a fishing expedition, which is why they kicked everyone out and they searched the entire house, including her underwear, because they were looking for information on January 6th. This was a fishing expedition to try and find any evidence that they could, or to potentially plant that evidence so that they could then turn around and go, see, Trump is a bad guy, discredit him, potentially try and enact a regulation to prevent him from running for office again. This was all about their fear of President Trump and to demonize all Republicans for the benefit of an election. That is devastating.
And that's all it is. Okay, right now we are in the final days of midterm elections. Okay, so this is a push to get basically Alexa, stop. Having a rough night here.
You are.
Basically to get Democrats elected or to try to maintain their power in the House and the Senate. And that's the whole purpose behind the January 6th fiasco, which they still have yet to come up with anything real out of it. Yeah, there's been a few people indicted, but they were people that were investigated long before the January 6th commission.
Well, if we put this into the same time frame that Adam Schiff said that he had absolute proof that Trump was colluding with Russia, we should be able to hear about the evidence of how Donald Trump had some canceled checks in the names of people that have been indicted for going into the Capitol building. We'll find those canceled checks somewhere around 2037. Yeah, that's when it'll be there. This whole thing is, I mean, it stinks to high heaven, every level of this thing. I mean, even to the point with you have a photo of the gates of Mar-a-Lago. You have two FBI officers standing there in full tactical gear with AR-15s outside the gates of Mar-a-Lago. Number one, nobody's getting into Mar-a-Lago anyway because the Secret Service has got that thing pretty much buttoned up.
Yes.
Why do you have to have this show, this dog and pony show that you got, like they just caught El Chapo,
because
hiding in the basement over there at it's.
But you nailed it,
and
Frank.
then for the Biden administration to come out and say we had no previous knowledge of this. This thing was cleared all the way up to the top levels of the administration. I mean, if Biden himself didn't give the go-ahead, he at least knew damn well it was going to happen. And he knew it was going to happen long in advance. And so did former Attorney General Eric Holder, 48 hours before the raid. Pretty much, he was on some left-wing talk show, I forgot what it was. He pretty much said, oh, you're going to start seeing things really progress now, and they're going to start coming out with evidence that they're about to start collecting. He pretty much called that this raid was going on. So Eric Holder was in on the loop before this bullshit took place. They're going and there's one person and one person only pulling all the strings to that, and his name is Barry.
Well, we know for sure.
I have my suspicions.
I can understand, but I can tell you that the news media was absolutely aware of this. Washington, D.C. leaks everything. There is no information that the news media doesn't get told about. And they did not one news media they all acted like they were surprised and shocked that this happened. And I have to tell you that the reason why I would think that they were shocked and amazed by this is because they knew that this was coordinated to be an October surprise, that they were going to get exclusives to then come out and demonize the character of Donald Trump and any Republicans connected to him to try and affect the 2022 election. This is at every level. We are suspect about this, and we should be, because it doesn't make sense. It wasn't necessary. They've been there twice. They knew all the documents. They knew where the documents were. Why do they have a spy in President Trump's Mar-a-Lago complex now that he is the former president?
And then to go under the auspices that this was requested by
National Archives.
The National Archives. The National Archives doesn't concern themselves with what security secrets are current, because you got to remember, even the former president of the United States gets the exact same presidential daily briefing as the current president of the United States does. Bush gets them. Carter elected not to take them anymore. He doesn't get them. But Clinton gets them. Bush gets them. Obama gets them. Trump gets them. These guys are privy to the most sensitive information on a daily basis. Those documents are all going to be kept with the rest of the documents. But the archives isn't going to be the people who decide, well, what's classified and what's declassified. The current president of the United States is the person who can classify and declassify stuff. So what are they so concerned about with nuclear codes that he has?
But look at the pieces. See, we have pieces that are all together, and the news media is absolutely adamant that the public not put any pieces together. We have the National Archives, which gives them the excuse in January and June to go into Mar-a-Lago to document all of the documents that are there. That's a fishing expedition. They have almost all those documents at this point are all electronic. They have them. They don't have paper copies, but they have the electronic copies. And I was actually speaking to someone, Blaine Pardo, who actually accesses the National Archives on a regular basis. He's familiar with the process and what they have. They already have all of the documents electronically, if not necessarily on paper. This gives them the excuse to go in to see everything, where everything is, and to go through some of the documents, part of a fishing exercise. Then
This is they're planting more bugs.
exactly, and then you have the spy that's there, who inside the Trump community in Mar-a-Lago, who is now watching over everyone for God knows what reason, because there is no evidence. There has never been any evidence, so that's a failure. And
Well,
then
I'm
they
also
do
suspicious of this spy claim. I'm very suspicious of this insider claim because I think after the last election and the debacle that we saw, I think Trump's inner circle has gotten so tight, a flea would have a hard time penetrating it. And I think that what they're trying to pull is planting a seed of discontent among the Trump organization, and to say, because now that you can start saying, well, the media says that there's a spy here. Well, let me say this: when Roger Stone's house was raided by the FBI, CNN had cameras in their vans across the street an hour before the FBI showed up.
Yeah,
CNN knew what was going on before then. They go in and they raid Roger Stone, make a big hoo-ha out of it. They bring him out of there like he's Al Capone.
Yeah.
They know they correct the one mistake and they say, okay, well, we're not going to have CNN show up early. We're not going to leak, because that leak came from the FBI because they wanted to make a big dog and pony show over Roger Stone being, hauled away in cuffs and everything. They know they can't do that again because now they're going to say, okay, well, now it's obviously being leaked for political reasons. So how do we, get the Trump campaign a little bit riled up on the inside? We know they didn't probably do nothing wrong. They didn't have nothing to. So instead of leaking to CNN, hey, get your cameras here ahead of time. Hey, CNN, we got a spy inside. And then CNN goes and starts reporting, credible sources say that there's an inside person inside the Trump organization. Now you got the 5 people standing there in Mar-a-Lago looking at each other like, okay, which one of you is the leak?
Well, it should be pretty easy.
There is no leak. There is no spy from there.
Even if there was, it's very easy to find out. How many people would have access to classified documentation in Mar-a-Lago that's under seal? There's only a handful of people who could possibly be able to have access to that. And I don't imagine, because it's sensitive information, those are people that are going to be your right hands. You're not going to have just anybody. The maid isn't getting access to that room. That's just not happening.
No, and the people that do have access to that stuff, if they were grabbing a hold of any of this sensitive material, which is still classified, and they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing with it, they're not just wouldn't be just a spy. They're also a felon.
Well, they would, they have received classified documentation, which
under
is
false pretenses.
Just reading the document to be able to say, there's a nuclear code or there's a nuclear submarine code here. That's just reading it is a violation of secrecy laws. You unless you have classification, you can't even read it. So by reading it, they have broken the law.
Right. So I don't understand how they come out with this whole thing about, there's a spy in it. I think that's a misdirection. I think that's probably just a matter of trying to upset the apple cart in the Trump administration in his inner circle, to try and put a law. Okay, well, which one of my sons might be the one that's, turning heel? Which one is it? My daughter turning heel? Is my son-in-law? That Jared, he looks a little fishy with that slick back haircut of his. You know what I'm saying? They try to do that. How many people could there possibly be in that organization? Trump, and here's the thing, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to catch heat for it because I caught heat the other day with this whole thing. I said to Lori the other day, when they raided the thing. I said, okay, this is almost a little bit of just desserts. And she says, what are you talking about? I said, do you remember the line, take the guns and due process will come later? This is another, I said, they're pretty much doing to Trump what he would have been willing to do with people with us when it came to red flag laws.
Yeah.
They've gone away with due process, and they're persecuting the guy. The same way that we would have been persecuted had these laws gone into effect. And I said, maybe now he understands a little bit better why due process is so damned important, and why now he's being subjected to things without due process, which is one of the reasons why people like me caught flack in the beginning when I said, hey, maybe he's not the greatest friend to the Second Amendment. Now he's starting to see that. I would think after that, he had to tighten stuff up over there to make sure that this is the kind of thing that wouldn't come from the inside. He would have had to come up with it.
See, I agree that the spy thing, the internal spy, that probe doesn't make any sense. But what's really scaring me right now is look at the environment we're in. We have this going on to a former president, which if they can do this to a former president, imagine what they can do to you and me. But on top of that, at the same time, we have the IRS that are saying that they're trying to hire special agents, CIs as they call them, who are willing to use deadly force against American citizens in the operation of their job. And their excuse was, hey, this is normal. This is completely normal for the duties of this position. And then I have to ask the question, then why did they remove the ad? If it's so absolutely normal, if it's so commonplace, then why don't you show us an ad from any other year at any other time where you said, hey, we're hiring these agents who have to be armed and they have to be willing to use deadly force. No, instead of showing any other time frame where they ever made that same requirement, instead they pulled the entire ad and have hidden it from the American people, adding in questions and doubts that we have about what's happening with our IRS. At the same time that we are now doubting the FBI and its credibility and what it's doing because of politics, at the same time that we are about to come up on the 1-year anniversary of Joe Biden and the Biden administration abandoning what we believe now to be thousands of Americans in Afghanistan. I have never forgotten about this, something that they have said at least 6 times. It has been documented that the numbers of Americans in Afghanistan have been changed over and over and over again. We have Andrew Cuomo, the disgraced former governor of New York, coming out and saying, guys, you better have something here because this is so bad that even he is saying this looks bad. It is backfired with the public. And then add into this environment of questions, doubt, and dubious actions, we have an Inflation Reduction Act that has now been passed that is being touted for its climate change benefits, occasionally mentioning its health care benefit, and it actually spends more money and increases inflation in America. None of this makes sense. My God, where is our country going?
And plus, this also comes on the eve of the administration saying there is zero inflation.
Oh, yes.
So what do we need the Inflation Act for if there's zero inflation? Why did you just spend $3.5 trillion?
You know what's so stupid about that?
Print $3.5 trillion.
You know what's so stupid about that? If you actually look at the CPI report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, you can click on it. It's easy enough. You look at the report, the very first sentence absolutely denounces, debunks, refutes what Biden and the Biden administration are saying about zero inflation. That is a lie. It is not correct. The very first sentence, you don't have to know anything about economics. You don't have to be big and deep in this. The first sentence tells you that they are lying to your face. So we have a government that is lying to us about inflation numbers, about the bills that they are passing, about the number of Americans that they abandoned, about abuses of our legal system and the investigation with the FBI and privacy. What the hell is going on?
Well, and to echo back at it, we're to the point now where we know that, let's say this doesn't go anywhere with this FBI raid, it's going to get swept under the rug. But if they find anything, they're going to go and shout from the mountaintops about it, because it has to be something that benefits them. And it has to be something that they can use. And whenever something doesn't go their way, it just disappears like everything else.
Yeah.
And to step back a little farther, too, we talked about them requesting to shut off the cameras while they did this raid. I seem to remember an issue in a jail cell in the last few years where some cameras got shut off.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm also looking forward to the day when they decide that they're going to. Now, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I kind of have a sneaky suspicion that one day you're going to see a confrontation between the Secret Service and the FBI.
Yeah,
and I think that, and that it might come to pass. It might come to pass, and it might be on purpose. It might be on purpose to show, look at this radical lunatic president told his Secret Service to open fire on FBI agents.
I'm telling you, I'm scared though, because with all of this that's happening, we have such division that is being created in this nation, and the radicals on the left and the right are eating us up, and they are reacting because of their fear, because of they're being the radicals, whether we're talking about the BLM progressive, the Antifa progressive, or the far right crazy, like the guy who was in Indiana and tried to attack the FBI. These radicals are feeling like, oh my God, it is doomsday around the corner. I have to react now, which is adding to the divisions in this nation and is pushing us towards, quite honestly, we've talked about it before. We are the clock on getting close to a civil war is we are ticking that down so fast right now.
Well, the Democrats have done nothing right now except prove the point of Joseph Stalin. You know, it's not going to happen now. It's not going to happen next year. It may take a generation, but we will destroy you from within. And that's exactly what they have done. They have all pledged themselves to an ideology hell-bent on the destruction of our republic. And everything that they do is no longer a matter of them, of us being able to say they're stupid, they're not educated, they don't understand economics, they don't understand guns, they don't understand free speech. They don't. No. They understand all of it. They understand all of it too well. If you want to know the best, if you're somebody, if you're a pharmacist, you know who knows more about poison than anybody else? A pharmacist. A pharmacist just doesn't prescribe poison because he's supposed to be there to heal you. But he knows a million ways to do somebody in if you want to. And people who work in Washington that go over there with the pledge, we are going to do no harm. We're taking the Hippocratic oath of American politics. We are here for the betterment of America. Those are the people who know how to do the most amount of damage because they've been there long enough to game the system, to screw it from within, and take this country down from behind the scenes. And I think that's what we're starting to see now, is a culmination of the 100-year plan to take this. I mean, when they turn around and put the goddamn Betsy Ross flag up and say this is a hate symbol, a symbol of terrorists, domestic insurrection, when they take every one of our documents, if you see somebody who's got a Declaration of Independence or they talk about anything revolutionary, they're enemies. My God, does anybody else of clear mind see this, or are they just more interested in getting their friggin' Greek yogurt and their goddamn lattes that they don't give a shit about what's happening? 87,000 new IRS agents are not coming after the 800 billionaires. They're coming after us. They're coming after us, and why the IRS needs needs millions of rounds of 5.56 and 9mm ammunition, I don't know. Why the IRS needs thousands of new guns and body armor and armored vehicles, I don't know. But all of that crap is in requisitions in this bill. All of that crap is in there. Don't you dare tell me that this is about inflation. This is about deflating, not inflating, deflating the American population of patriots. That's what it's about. That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
and you can call me a psycho, you can call me anything you want. But if you would have told us, if any one of us would have said 6 months ago that within the next 6 months, Donald Trump's home is going to be raided by the FBI and with people with fully automatic weapons and body armor and tactical gear, oh, stop. You're just a conspiracy theorist. Well, it friggin' happened. What is the next shoe to drop? What is the next shoe to drop that is going to be a stretch too far? That's a stretch too far. That's when I say, don't be surprised if you see live fire coming out between the FBI and the Secret Service, because the next thing to do to stop Trump is to take him out of the picture. That's the only thing they can do.
I've heard some people say that.
And you got Bernard Carrick, former NYPD police commissioner, came out 2 days ago and said, I'm in fear for my friend Donald Trump. I have no doubt in my mind that there is a plan to assassinate that man. Those are his words, not mine. Those are his words. And we can pull that sound clip up if we want to. I'm sure we can find a clip of it and put it up. But that's what he said, Bernard Carrick. Now, that man got railroaded 1,000 times to Sunday to destroy his career because he was a supporter of Donald Trump. And now they're going this way. I don't know. Say what you will. Say what you will. It's just, I'm looking at tea leaves, and I don't like the way they're reading.
I don't think, and maybe Mike, maybe Jeremy disagree. I don't think there's a plan, an organized plan to go after Donald Trump to take his life. But I do think that they are encouraging, as they have been encouraging, the radicals to try and do something like that. The Maxine Waters, the AOCs out there, they're saying, oh, don't follow the Supreme Court. Go and track these people down. Nancy Pelosi, go to their homes, go to them in the stores. They have been making, and they have demonized him at the same levels that we speak about Hitler. Okay? I mean, literally, we have demonized Donald Trump so much that he is at the same level as Hitler in terms of the negativity that has been focused upon him for doing nothing but being a pretty decent president. That's it. And they have come after him with everything. And because they cannot get anything, because nothing that they have put forward has been real, nothing of substance, everything has been propaganda based. Radicals are going crazy. And the radicals are going crazy, and they're thinking, well, we have to do something. This is the same reason why we just had a bunch of radicals from California try and assassinate Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh. Because, we've got to do something. It's so extreme. The only thing they could think of was go and bring a gun across state lines illegally and to try and assassinate our Supreme Court justice and his family. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of mentality that they have created. That is the environment they have put the entire nation in. So I don't think it's something that's planned. It's just an opportunity that they've been nurturing. And I think and again, this is dangerous because none of this ends with Donald Trump. Whether he runs or wins or loses, it doesn't matter. This is now the norm. We have now set a precedent, and it applies to every former president and every former president to come. This is the norm of our nation. We are becoming a banana republic with fear.
I want to bring up a few things that a lot of people may have not realized on this. Okay. And we've witnessed over the last 2 years, literally how our economy is in shambles. And the blame's been placed on COVID and blah, 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 Russia and everything else. So I'm going to roll up a couple sites here that could potentially explain some of this, of what we see going on, because this is not something we haven't seen in the past. Okay, so the first thing I want to bring up here is a name that a lot of people know, and this is the first thing. Okay, the Soros network is inside the Biden administration. George Soros is world renowned, and he is actually under indictment in multiple countries because of various crimes against those countries, especially in regards to their economy. Okay, so right here we see Soros network is inside the Biden administration. The next thing I want to bring up is I want to show you just what type of influence and greed George Soros has. And mind you, George Soros is very, very well tied with Democratic Party.
The man's also got more money than God.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so George Soros, we've already showed his ties with Biden administration. Okay, now Thailand, admittedly, is not one of the main economic drivers of the world, but here's an article about how George Soros literally broke the Bank of Thailand. Now, the next thing I want to bring up on this is one of the most influential countries in the world until not too long ago was England. Okay, and they still have quite a bit of influence.
Mm-hmm.
But England lost a lot of its influence when
The immigration.
When George Soros started messing with the English economy.
Mm.
Okay, and he collapsed the Bank of England. We see a lot of telltale signs of what happened in these other places where George Soros collapsed economies of countries. And we see a lot of the same telltale signs here in the United States. And we've seen these signs since Biden came into office. We're seeing more and more of these signs. We're seeing aggressive government spending on many programs with money that we don't have. We see literally the Federal Reserve print money at rates we've never heard of before in our history. And all this other stuff that we've got going on. We've got some of the stabilizers of our economy have been shut down, i.e. the petroleum markets. We're seeing stocks going berserk. I mean, they go extremely up one day and then a huge crash the next. We're seeing prices across the country going skyrocketing in just about every industry there is.
Well, I can explain those.
Tell me that George Soros has said that he's going to bring down the United States. Tell me that George Soros is not behind a lot of what's going on here today.
I would
Without a doubt.
No, I would say he's taking advantage. See, George Soros takes advantage of the weaknesses and the issues that are already out there. I think this is far more political. The stock market goes up and down. As a former stockbroker, I know it's because of emotion. If you have enough emotion moving in any direction, the market's going to react to it.
But it
And
hasn't been as volatile as it's been here as of late.
True, but part of the reason why is we have a lack of trust of our government abusing the people at levels we've never seen before, and we are seeing the ultimate dominoes falling of what happened because Barack Obama made America a service country instead of a manufacturing country, and that consequence, meaning that we are dependent on China to manufacture a large 60 to 70% of all the goods we consume are coming from China, with another 20%.
I want to back off on. I want to clarify your statement. It didn't start with Obama.
No,
it actually started with H.W. Bush.
Yes.
Started to change us over into a service column. Clinton furthered that effort.
Massively. We saw the Democrats take this significantly.
And then George W. Bush continued that effort even more, and Obama basically solidified it.
Yes.
Okay, Donald Trump was actually trying to bring us back to a more labor-based economy.
Yes.
And market. And that's one of the things that they do not want, because if we are service-based, a service-based economy is a lot easier to control and manipulate than a manufacturing-based economy.
Of course, because then you're dependent on all the goods. You starve or everything falls apart. But this is, we're seeing these dominoes come together, and we are smart men. I'm sure we're above average in our intelligence. We are not the smartest men in the world. No. We're not the smartest political leaders of any country in the world. There are teams of people who have been, and people working for billionaires like Soros and others, Bezos and others, who are there just to sit down all day long and go through all the data we're talking about and more from teams of people accumulated and saying, okay, here's all the projections, here's the percentages of what may or may not happen. They know if we're talking about it now, they figured this out already. They know this is happening. We're seeing people like Soros and Bezos and what's his name? Jack Dorsey and a few of the others. They're taking advantage of these things because they know they're happening. But I think there's two different worlds. There's the guys who are taking advantage of this and, of course, pushing it along a little bit faster if they can. And then there's the people who are doing this because of the politics and the demands, the desire to have control. We are actually falling back. I've said it before. I believe we are going back to a neo-Middle Ages outlook. We have neo-nobles in office. We have politicians who have been there for 3, 4, 5 decades. This is their lifetimes of just being in control and treating the public like they are serfs, like they are peons, that you serve this elected official, like Chuck Schumer, as an example. You serve Chuck Schumer, not the other way around. And that's been devastating, that these people have been accumulating that kind of power for so long, and yet and these others are seeing that, and they're taking advantage of that and saying, hey, let's go along for the ride. Might as well. It's going there anyway. And it's pretty terrifying to see that, I think.
Well, speaking of good old Chuck Schumer over there, he was the one who said when Trump first took office and Trump started, going after the FBI a little bit and the intelligence agencies over some of their failures, and Chuck was on Meet the Press, where he was on, you can't just go after our intelligence community and think for a second that they're not going to find a way to come back after you.
Yeah. Well,
Schumer himself said it. He was acknowledging then, okay, our justice system in this country is not about justice. It's about revenge. It's about persecution. It's about going after somebody for politically motivated reasons and nothing else. If this justice system was fair, we would know the name of the 11 to 13-year-old girl that was in lingerie being caressed by Hunter Biden while he smoked crack on video. If we had a justice system in this country, we don't have one anymore. We don't have one anymore. If we had a justice system in this country, we would have Hillary Clinton behind bars for eliminating 30,000 emails that she was told she needed to keep intact. And then made a mockery of our justice system. Oh, you mean like wipe it off? We don't have a justice system in this country anymore. We have the Stasi. We have the brown shirts in this country. And it kills me. I'm from a friggin' law enforcement family, for God's sake. I sit here every day at my desk and I stare at my father's police shield. I stare at my father's police shield sitting next to his revolver that he carried on the job. These sit on my desk every day. And I see what this country has become with law enforcement and with our justice system, and it sickens me to no end. It sickens to me to no end. Listen, I understand why BLM is upset, because I have been trying to keep my mind open to a lot of things, and I've been watching a lot of the audit videos of how I see law enforcement treating minorities in this country. It sickens me to see some of it. And on the same token, I understand from a law enforcement point of view why certain things are done in certain communities, because there is a certain amount of crime. But you look back at the history and you see, well, what started these things? What started these things? We took fathers out of homes. Our government took fathers out of homes. They rewarded mothers to have children out of wedlock, to destroy the family unit. They put drugs into low-income communities. They did all of these things to further disenfranchise people. And then they've just been building this base of destruction behind the scenes for years and years and years and years. And then you get some smooth-talking politician who's all about the people, and he's all about hope and change and all the rest of that, and it just cements it. It cements it. From that election on, we have been on a tremendous downward spiral. It wasn't until Trump got elected, and that took the entire establishment by surprise. Took the entire establishment. They didn't think it would be possible.
Well,
so
and that's the thing is,
all the resources they didn't pour into defeating him the first time because they thought it wouldn't happen, they're putting into destroying him now and destroying everybody who's got a like-minded ilk.
Well, here's
something so bad going on in this country, and people better wake up and say it.
Here's the thing: Trump was a huge surprise to literally everyone when he was elected, but it was also a huge cry from the American people that we are tired of politics as usual. But ever since he was nominated for the candidacy for president of the Republican Party, there's been an attempt to literally undermine him and basically tell the American people, shut up, get back in your lane, we're in control, you don't matter. And the American people literally said, yeah, we do matter. And that's why they elected Trump. Biden's election and what happened with the 2020 election, which there's still a lot of controversy over that. And there's a lot of things that still do not make sense with that entire election. And I know we will probably get flagged and whatever else because I'm talking about this. Okay. my biggest thing is if the election was so fair and so the integrity of the election was so good, why are so many people scared of full investigations of the election? Why are there so many people fighting against audits? Why are so many people fighting against having these investigations done, checking into the election, checking into the voting machines, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? That right there raises some huge red flags with me, and why so many people are trying to fight against this. Okay. Even if you go ahead and certify the election, why are they still trying to fight against these investigations as to
Not
what
only
happened with the
just
2020 election?
you started your comment by saying, Michael, I know we're probably going to get flagged for this. Just as you started speaking about the election. It's not only a matter of you can't even discuss the election without being censored. You can't even discuss it without being censored. Forget about investigating it. Forget about seeing the 2000 Mules documentary. Forget about looking at all the evidence and all the different things. You can't even discuss it without being told to shut up and without having your soapbox kicked out from under your feet.
No, it's worse than you think, Frank. It's worse than you think, because remember, Twitter has just activated its precog. They actually called it a pre-bunk. They are actively going into, for the midterm elections, they are actively preventing what they call misinformation or election interference on Twitter. They are actively highlighting subjects to try and stop people from being able to talk about elections in a certain manner. That's the this is straight out of like Minority Report.
It's almost like what we're going to have to do is invent a form of Pig Latin and discuss things in a language that their algorithms can't identify that easily, and put it and write have some linguistic person come out there and create an app that says you type in what you want, we'll make a language that fits it, and you can post what we say in the language and then hit translate. Copy it and translate.
But then that makes you part of that extremist right-wing radical cabal that's trying to do something. Not the cabal that worked on 2020 to help America. Remember, out of Time magazine, that they had their own secret shadow cabal to fortify the election, because 2020 was the most secure and safe election that has ever existed, of course. But and at the same time, we are also finding out here's something that most guys, I don't think you guys heard this. Did you know that the New York Times is reportedly, it's just coming out now, they reportedly decided they're making decisions about what information other members of Congress in the op-eds, they're deciding that based on Democrats saying it's okay. A representative, Senator Tim Scott wanted to write about police reform or defunding the police. He was upset. He had a bill in front of the Senate trying to stop defunding the police. So he wrote an op-ed that he sent to the New York Times. The New York Times looked at it, didn't like the subject, the way he was tackling it. And so they decided, hey, you know what we'll do? Let's go ask Chuck Schumer, the majority lead of the Senate and a Democrat, the opposition party to Tim Scott, and ask him if it's okay to publish a senator's op-ed on an issue that affects America. And I have to ask the question, and I sent you guys the link. I asked in a tweet to Chuck Schumer, which has gotten no response so far, how many times has the New York Times or any other news publication asked you for permission to write an article or to publish the comments of someone who doesn't agree with the progressive Democrat ideology. That's not, and we already know. Remember, 2 months ago, a month and a half ago, we had the Pew Research poll that said that 55% of the individuals in our news media don't believe in being unbiased. They believe in putting out propaganda without notifying the public of their political preferences and to put out their political ideology, and they think that's perfectly fine. Add that together with what we're seeing in the government and the lack of trust that we have. Look at what we are seeing with the manipulation of our finances and our markets, and our country is becoming highly unsustainable. And what terrifies me is we are the beacon of freedom. There's a meme that's out there that says, hey, guess what? If America doesn't get it right, no one is coming to save us. We save everyone else. No one's there to save us. If we fall, the whole world, the whole idea of democracy and freedom as it exists right now will be gone.
Well, this is just like any desert scene with the buzzards flying overhead, just fucking waiting for it.
Yeah.
To pick through the wreckage once the dust settles.
Yeah, you're right.
I saw a meme earlier today. It was, I actually thought when I first saw it, that it was one of these climate change bullshit things that you always see them do. It was the Statue of Liberty underwater, and just her hand and the torch is sticking out, and she's surrounded by sharks. That's all it said. It wasn't a climate thing. It was about, and it came from Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody in Europe created this little image up, and if you look at it, it's Liberty is about to drown, and we're surrounded by the sharks.
Mm-hmm.
And we are being drowned because of the people that Americans have decided to call leaders instead of representatives.
Mm-hmm.
We're being destroyed from within.
No, I agree.
It's critical from Time Magazine.
Yeah. Which is terrifying. And they admit it. It's a secret cabal to fortify the election. What if I decided I wanted to fortify the election? Oh, I'd be a bad guy. They try and throw me in jail.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a slew of news media personalities and politicians and politicos that were perfectly happy to work together, including many of the social media giants working together in coordination to make sure Orange Man Bad couldn't be there for one more day. I'm sorry. This is again, we're going into the realm of a banana republic. Freedom is dying in front of our face, and we're being told we're the bad guys because we're mentioning it.
Right. Well,
now
Jan
again,
said
that's
it.
nothing new in history. We saw it with the fascists in Germany and Italy in the 1930s.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy, what were you saying?
I want to say Jan said it earlier. They've been trying to go after him since before he was elected. They're terrified of him.
I don't think they're terrified of Trump. I think they're terrified of us. They're terrified of the fact that more people are watching social media and programs, roundtables like this one, rather than the mainstream news media, that we're actually asking questions and we're thinking about what the consequences of everything that they're talking about. We're actually talking about that. And there are more people interested in this than the parroted propaganda that's coming off of CNN, MSNBC, and the rest of them. I think they're terrified.
Even he said, they're not coming after me. They're coming after you. I'm just in their way.
Yeah. I think that's true. Because it seems the more and more I've noticed. I'll give you a perspective. I've been on YouTube for 12 years for this channel, doing political commentary for like 17 years, something like that. But my YouTube channel, when I had half as many subscribers as I do today, I had more average views per video than I do today. And the only thing that's changed is as I've gotten more people paying attention, I'm covering the same, I'm doing the same thing I've been doing for 15 years, 17 years. The thing that's changed is there's more people looking for that content, and there's more people willing to talk about it and not demonize me for it, but actually pay attention, whether they agree or not, to pay attention to it. And as I've gotten more people, the algorithm has gotten worse. It is harder for people to find me today because I have more people looking and paying attention than it was a year ago. That's scary.
Undoubtedly.
Same thing for this channel. Same thing for a lot of people are going through the same process. I've heard it from several people on several different platforms. The more people you're getting today, it is harder to build up an audience because of the algorithms. Today, it is harder to reach people on the same message, on the same topics from a year ago, because the algorithm is shadow banning people. You're getting threatened left and right that you're going to get deplatformed. You're getting content strikes. You're getting mostly just shadow banned, that people aren't able to find content because they don't want you to speak. They don't want you to think.
Mm-hmm.
So upsetting to me.
Well, it is, man.
And there's so much that's happening now. I mean, we have so many. I still can't even understand how we have this bill, this Inflation Reduction Act, but it has nothing to do. It's so. I've said it before. This is all about marketing. They name bills based on marketing. It sounds great. So, the what is that? What was that one? Child protection.
The CHIPS bill.
No, the one for the Second Amendment, anti-Second Amendment bill.
Save our children or whatever.
Oh, the Save Our Children Act.
Save Our Children Act, which I believe was HR 2577, if I remember correct. And that bill, guess what? They're putting this together. It had nothing to do with saving anyone. It didn't protect anyone. It just had a neat title. Inflation Reduction Act, it's just a neat title. It has nothing to do with that. In fact, 200 economists have looked at it. It's going to create more, and it's very obvious that it's going to create more inflation than it's going to ever potentially reduce. We're being dumbed down. They really just think we are stupid as a nation, and that we can't understand it. And everyone who does, they're trying to just demonize.
Well, the bill we're talking about is Senate Bill S-3495, which was actually finalized by the House of Representatives today, I believe it was, and is actually being sent to Biden now.
Yeah.
Which he's fully expected. In fact, he's already said that he is going to sign it. Okay, and I've just actually shared a copy of the bill off of Congress.gov, which has literally explains everything in it.
No, I think this is the Tim Scott bill that you have up. That's not the Inflation Reduction Act. Is this the one with Scott?
Yeah, Tim Scott did this one. Yes.
Tim Scott has a different bill. This is the Inflation Prevention Act, which kicks in only at, I believe it's at 4.5% inflation. It's a different bill. They make it. It is you won't find the Inflation Reduction Act. It's almost impossible to find. It's very difficult to find because they don't want.
There's a one-pager part on the Democrats.Senate.gov, but it really gives little to no information whatsoever.
It just tells you on that one pager from the Democrats, all they're telling you is that oh, we're going to tax the rich, and here we're going to spend money, and they don't even tell people what they're spending money on. They're very, very vague about the climate change or anything else. Again, misleading the public. They make this hard for people to ever find the actual bill. They don't want you to think about this. They don't want you to know. Because if you look at it, you're suddenly going to go and say, this doesn't work. It's terrifying.
Well, as with most bills, they fly by night, pass things when people are sleeping, and they
Actually, I think I
sneak
just
the little
found
things
it.
in there.
53.
Actually, this is the House bill, the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, HR 5376.
I think that one is it.
Okay, and first thing it talks about is deficit reduction, which they keep pointing to deficit reduction, but they don't really reduce any spending.
Nope, they
Their
increase.
deficit reduction is actually them printing more money. It's not
$3.5 trillion worth.
Yeah, it's not really reducing the deficit. It's just putting more money, worthless money, in circulation.
Which drives down the value of the dollar, which
increases
causes inflation to go up.
Yes.
I don't understand what's so hard to understand. But, hey, label it whatever the hell you want. The American people are stupid. They'll buy into it, right?
These are,
That's
like
what
you're
we worry
saying,
about.
the people in power are not stupid. They're very, very smart, and they know what they're doing. And they're using smart people to fool stupid people into doing what they want.
Yeah. They just have every news media out there telling everyone, no, this is great. And we have the authority bias that's out there. It's a lack of logic. It's an economist, that newscaster, that elected politician, they're on TV, they're on social media. They said it's this way. You can't know. I mean, God, guys, you've all run into this before where someone tells you, you don't know that about the Second Amendment. Yes, you do. Oh, you don't know about that bill. You don't know about the red flag laws. You don't know about that. You can't know about that. You're not on TV. It's like, but I read the bill. Yeah, I do. I've read the bill. I read the Constitution. I understand. I've talked to people about it. I talked to lawyers about it. Oh, but you can't know that because those authorities, they know better than you. No, they don't. They don't even read these things.
And the authorities on the subject, those people who are on the TV, most of the time don't know what they're talking about anyways. You can just read a headline in a teleprompter. Just like our current commander-in-chief. He doesn't know what's going on. He just reads the screen, takes info from the earpiece, and feeds it out.
When he can read the screen, he's so
when he
bad.
can read the screen.
You know, this bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, it's 755 pages. 755 pages. They didn't read this. They don't know what's in this.
No, they don't.
No.
It's insane. 755 pages. It's crazy.
Just like the Obamacare. It was, 1,000? How many pages was that? That was
2,200.
Everybody says, read the bill. Read the bill. But what's the sense of reading the bill if you need 3 lawyers and 5 other people to explain it to you? John Conyers. John Conyers, on the day they passed Obama, the day they were voting on Obamacare. He admitted, we don't read the bills here. The next thing they admitted was they didn't write the bills there. The only thing they haven't admitted yet is how much they're getting paid to vote for the bills there. The whole system is corrupt. Every inch of it. Every inch of it. And you brought up Tim Scott before.
Yeah.
I liked Tim Scott. I really did. I really did. And then he went and he endorsed Liz Cheney.
Did he endorse Liz Cheney?
Yeah, he endorsed Liz Cheney on his Twitter feed. So Tim Scott, listen, from me to you, That's for you, buddy. The Italian. I'm giving you the Italian bouquet. The Italian bouquet. Because Tim Scott, in the last week, Tim Scott has done a couple of things that really question his integrity, and that was just one of them.
Well, sometimes he's good, and I didn't know he went with Liz Cheney. That's a really bad one. I missed that.
If people are wondering what's being shared on the screen, this is the Congressional Budget Office analysis of the Inflation Reduction Act. And what I'm looking for in particular is there was a breakdown of what groups would be taxed and the impact of the increased taxation that is caused by this bill would have. And now remember, Biden's big promise was nobody making under $400,000 a year would see an increase in taxes.
Oh, they changed.
However, this analysis proves differently. It proves that the majority of taxes that are going to be required from this bill and that are implemented by this bill are actually going to impact middle income and lower middle income the most severely.
I think the line, I forget what line it is in the bill, but I believe the line in the bill states that this should not impact individuals making less than $400,000 a year, which is
Does
why.
anybody remember? Do you remember whenever? I don't know if you guys remember it or not. I know I sure as hell do. The Holy Grail when it comes to the taxation limit was that nobody under $250,000 would see an increase in their taxes.
That was in the 2020 election.
But it used to be 250,000. Now it's up to 400,000.
Yeah.
You know, they keep manipulating that number for some reason, and I don't understand why. But then when we turn around and look at it, every time they said, "Oh, it's not going to impact anybody under 250," we found that people making it down below 60,000 were affected. So where are they coming up with this new $400,000 number? When did that become the new go-to number?
They went like this
year.
$200,000 per individual and a family of three. That's kind of where they're getting the basis for it. It doesn't matter though, because quite honestly, that's why they have in the bill, it said it should not affect people under that limit, not that it shall not, which makes a big difference. It's not that they can't affect people under 400,000. They're just going to say it may indirectly affect these people. Matter of fact, I believe a Wall Street Journal article recently, or was it New York Times today, just came out and said, well, it may indirectly tax people who are in the middle class. In other words, yeah, it's targeting the middle class. They're just trying to find a way to cover it. These things are, it's sick what we are seeing happening. And how do they think this is going to help us?
It shows pure weakness, because could you imagine if our founding fathers put should not be infringed on the Second Amendment? It's so fucking non-committal. It's sickening.
Well, it's a great way of admitting that it's a way of admitting the negative without saying the negative, you know? It's like, yeah, we're going to screw you.
Here's another analysis.
Yeah, Mike.
Oh, there it is.
Revenue and economic estimates are net revenue of $324 billion. Long-run GDP will be a negative 2.2%. Wages overall will decrease by 0.1%, and there will be a loss of 29,000 jobs.
Oh, what a joy. Yeah, that's good for the economy. That's good for a recession.
The long-run effects of the Senate Inflation Reduction Act tax provisions Okay, we just detailed that. Individual income taxes. Okay, I'm just reading through here.
They can't.
Scanning through.
Yeah.
Well, any stock buybacks, there's an automatic 1% excise tax.
Yeah, that's going to be great for Wall Street. Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Your IRA will
Minimum
thank you for this.
15% minimum tax on corporate.
You know, everything they're doing with the stock market, that's just taking away from people's IRA, their retirement accounts.
Mhm.
Everyone who's got a mutual fund is going to hate this.
Yep.
And everyone who's got a retirement account owns a mutual fund. They're going to hate this. Because it's not going to affect the rich. It's going to affect mom and pop investors. It's going to affect people who are relying on mutual funds for their retirement, and they're going to be outsized. These are going to add to the cost and reduce the returns they're getting. It's going to net hurt the average American.
Mhm.
But you know, it has a nice title, and it's
does.
not a mean tweet. And those are the two
Okay.
big things they're worried about: mean tweets and, you know, bad titles. I mean, that's the only reason why they got, it's the only reason why they got rid of the Disinformation Governance Board. It had a bad title. They got to get a better title next time. Ridiculous.
And this is from PBS. Okay, there's $1 trillion gap between what Americans owe in taxes and what the federal government collects.
I'll be done.
So essentially, reason why all these agents are being added is to cut down on that disparity. And I'm sorry, that $1 trillion gap is not just from people making over $400,000.
No, it's mostly from people who are making 50,000 or less.
Mm-hmm.
The average American. This is about getting more money out of the average American, which is why they're going into your credit cards, into your PayPals, your Venmos, your Cash Apps. It's why they have access, and they need that many agents to go through every single one of your PayPal transactions to find out, oh, you gave money to your kid. Yes, it was for that kid to in college or starting their life to get a new tire on their car, but you know, screw you, that was taxable. We need your money. And that's terrifying. But again, all of these things we're talking about today, they're all rotating around the same thought. The American citizen is stupid, that you should not think, you should not ask questions, and you should obey your neo-nobles as they are busy trying to take away your rights, your freedoms. They are abusing the system. They have put targets on your back with the red flag laws, and they are going to pay people to steal your rights. That was the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. They are busy trying to punish people and coming up with a reason after the fact to justify it, which is what is happening to Trump right now. And they're coming and they want to silence us because this could because we could, in talking about it, could affect elections. And that's why they're trying to silence us on social media, like with Twitter, with the pre-bunking Minority Report actions. What's this?
Independent analysis found it will have virtually no impact on inflation. In reality, it is a pared down version of what Biden really originally pitched as Build Back Better plan. It leaves aside much of the original bill's spending, but it maintains huge corporate tax increase, huge spending on green energy initiatives, and a plan to swell the ranks of our IRS agents. What was originally roughly $4 trillion proposal that would have relied heavily on borrowing ended up being something of a rarity in Washington, a bill that will raise more revenue than it spends.
They hope.
And where will it get that revenue? Quite possibly from you. Households earning as little as $50,000 annually are more likely to see a tax increase than a tax break from the legislation. In the final hours before the House vote, the Joint Committee on Taxation completed a breakdown on how the bill's corporate tax increases would affect households at various income levels. The JTC, a nonpartisan number crunching agency within Congress, found that households earning between $50,000 and $75,000 are more likely to see a tax increase than a tax decrease next year. Higher earning households are more likely to see tax increases. Households earning more than $1 million next year are actually far more likely than lower earning households to get a tax break.
So one thing I've noticed and I paid attention to in this all is, and maybe I'm wrong, but I've never really heard anybody from the Democratic Party say, we're going to try to cut your taxes. It's always, we're going to try to prevent raising your taxes. The key word there is try. It's never we're going to. It's like you said, it's, we'll see what happens.
Okay,
when in reality, they know that they're going to raise everybody.
Yes.
Okay. If you earn between $75,000 and $100,000, you are going to probably see a 3.4% tax increase.
Oh, ow.
$100,000 in your household, 9.6.
No, Mike, you're going the wrong way. Look at the first line. Less than $10,000.
Right.
Is that saying that you're going to see a 0.1% increase in taxes?
Yep.
Yeah.
For less than $10,000?
Yeah.
That is about that's about 50% below the poverty level in the United States. And they're seeing a tax increase.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Then everyone sees a tax increase. This bill doesn't decrease taxes at all.
You can see, though, if you look at their scale, 0.1, 0.2, all the way up to $50,000, that magic number they're talking about, 0.8, and then it hits 50 plus, 1.5, 3.4, 9.6, 30.5, and then it just skyrockets from there.
Mm-hmm. But so it tells you that what they're saying is statistically a 0.1%, 0.2% increase in your taxes is marginal. So it doesn't count.
Right.
That's what they're trying to go away with. So that doesn't matter. You're not seeing an impact. No. What it's saying is they are increasing taxes across the board for no damn good reason. And they're not taking into account and the cost for energy will increase. There will be fewer jobs. They're going to hurt you on many levels while taking more of your money.
Oh, I was reading this chart wrong. Okay. So, percentage of returns. So at less than 10,000, if 0.1% of those people will see a tax decrease of greater than $500. 0.2 will see a decrease of that income bracket. 0.2% will see a decrease of $100 to $500 in their taxes. 98.8% won't see any change in their taxes. 0.8% will see an increase of $100 to $500. 0.1% will see an increase of greater than $500. That's at less than $10,000. So if we look down here at the 1 million and over, 15.2% will see a tax decrease of greater than $500 in the $1 million bracket. Okay. In the middle income, let's say $50,000, it looks like it's more likely that, well, 5.1% will see greater than $500 tax decrease. 6.5%. So more people will actually see an increase of $100 to $500 in their taxes.
This looks like it was designed to confuse people.
Yes.
Oh, it is.
Show me one law that's written that hasn't been.
Sure.
Okay. But essentially what this is, if you look at the numbers, because depending on where you are in your bracket, you may see an increase or you may see a decrease. And these are the various tax brackets. And if you're seeing the tax increase numbers being larger than the tax decrease, then that income bracket is more than likely going to see an increase in their taxes.
They know that people hate to do math. People drone out when you do numbers, and they know that for a fact. And they are counting on the fact that people are just going to go by the headline because they don't want to think and do the math. And that's how they get away with this crap.
Okay. And right here, you can see that 27.8% of households earning between 100 and 200,000, which is a middle income household. Okay. Because these aren't individuals, these are households, are going to see an increase of $100 to $500 tax bill increase. 27.8%. If we drop down to the next lower tax bracket, 13.5% of those households are going to see a tax increase. Okay. So I don't see anywhere in here where potential tax increases have been limited to $400,000 and above.
It hasn't.
All it is another talking point. It's another soundbite that are not allowed. It's another soundbite that they get to push on the American people to be parroted by their sympathetic media brethren. You know, that's all it is. It's all it is. It's all a lie. Every ounce of it is a lie. There's no truth in it.
You know,
and you can see right there that statement that was up on the screen just a second ago. The most important things require compromise.
Yeah, right.
Well,
That's literally his saying, well, I lied to you. Now here's what we are actually going to do.
Well, yeah, well, wait until the next slide that's coming. You know what's coming down the pike? It should be, I've been expecting this for a while. The Iran nuclear deal. Mm-hmm. Do you know why that's still going on? Because Iran is really, really smart. Iran, knowing that Joe Biden, since the day that he took over on January 20th, Joe Biden has been reaching out saying, I want to restart the Iran nuclear deal. Please restart the Iran nuclear deal. And Iran has said, we don't want to talk to you. So Joe Biden has sweetened the pot consistently since the day he got in and has been giving concession after concession after concession to Iran. Now, just last week, there was the European Union put out a final effort, a final deal that America and Iran are looking at to try and approve. And if America and Iran approve it, it goes forward and we have the Iran nuclear deal back, which is a problem in itself, and I'll get to that. But you know what Iran's been doing? The same thing they've always done. Since Biden's been in, they said, you know what? We don't like it. We're not going to say anything. So today, they just got another concession. These concessions, by the way, are being done by Europe on behalf of Joe Biden because Iran won't even talk to Joe Biden. And they got more. So with that, I want everyone to understand, why does this matter? Why should you care? They're going to tell you that the Iran nuclear deal is going to make you safe and that Joe Biden's a great leader. The Iran nuclear deal will increase the net global terrorism in the world, paid for by the United States, just like it did in 2016.
Well, here's how they're going to sell it. They're going to sell it as a part of the new Green Deal.
Well, no,
because nuclear energy.
No. I think
doesn't create greenhouse gases.
No, they're going to sell the Iran nuclear deal because what's going to happen is, besides getting money from the United States, Iran will be able to sell oil again. Russia's going to stop selling 2.2 billion barrels on the open market, just selling privately to China. Iran will add 1 million barrels a day, which cuts the reduction by Russia in half during the winter when Europe is going to be in demand, when the United States is going to be in great demand. It'll make at least $3 billion a day for Iran, which is going to go straight into global terrorism. And the United States will be able to buy about half of that, the other half going to Europe. So Germany will have some gas to help their people. We're going to have some gas, and it's going to knock off about 10 to 20 cents off of a gallon of gas in the United States if the deal goes through. So Joe Biden's going to say, I am a brilliant leader. I got lower gas. I brought in nuclear peace. Meanwhile, Iran's going to say, just like they have for the last 47 years, destroy America. We hate America. This doesn't stop us from killing Americans. We're going to build an ICBM. By the way, we have $3 billion more every day to put into the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, to commit global terror to kill Americans and Israelis every single day. This is the trade-off that they're going to tell you is a good deal. I'm really upset about that.
But don't you know? The Iran nuclear deal isn't about nuclear weapons. It's about nuclear power. They only want nuclear power. They want to lower their dependence on fossil fuels.
Yeah, they want.
That's why they need this nuclear research program.
Yeah,
well, you think in the middle of the desert with all that sun and all that sand that can be turned into silica and converted into solar energy panels, that they could capitalize on solar and not have to worry about nuclear. They can capitalize on all those wind farms that they have, these vast unpopulated millions upon millions of acres of land. Hell, they can strap solar panels to the wings of a bunch of windmills and let them spin at the top speed and do them both at the same time. What the hell do they need? It's not about energy.
But they're trying
to energy. It's about giving the Iranians the ability to get onto the world stage and negotiate from a larger standpoint of strength while diminishing America's role in the world, because the left does not want America to be a superpower. They want us to be part of the global nation of brotherhood, because the same way that they think that the rich in this country aren't taxed enough and don't pay their fair share, and that they shouldn't have as much while other Americans suffer, is the same reason that they look at America and say America shouldn't be so prosperous while so many other countries are in need. We need to knock America down like we knock American millionaires down and put America on the same plane as we do with all the lower class countries and the downtrodden. This way we make it equal. And we'll take everybody's guns.
It's all about equity.
Except we'll have the guns. Because it's all great so long as we can control it all. Because we hate guns except the ones that we own. We hate guns except the ones that we order the people to shoot with. We just don't want the blood on our hands.
Yeah.
It's a freaking sham. The whole goddamn thing is a sham. It's a sham, and people aren't going to realize it until every last one of their liberties are completely gone. America used to be that shining light that stood for something. We don't stand for anything anymore. This country does not stand, and I don't even think that if Trump got back in, the amount of damage that's been done in the last 2 years, I don't think 10 Trumps could fix what one Biden administration did.
But let's be honest, though, if Trump gets back in, the amount of pushback that we're seeing from the left right now will be nothing compared to what we will see if it happens.
Well, if he does get back in, the only way it's going to happen is a total and complete washing of every left wing out there. He's going to have to win the election by 130 million votes in order to overcome any possible fraud and irregularity that's got to be done. So for that to happen, 30% of Biden vote has got to turn around and go the opposite way.
Yeah, but what I mean is not just that alone. Of course, the entire thing will be a rigged election, but the chaos that we see people, saying, if you see these people in the streets, attack them, make their lives hell, that will be the end goal if he gets reelected. It'll turn into that overnight. The amount of riots and shit will be unbelievable.
Well, here's the deal. On September 25th of this year, Merrick Garland is going to come out and introduce that there's an indictment against former President Donald J. Trump in violation of the Espionage Act. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to go. That's a horrible. It's not a real crime.
Actually,
Evidence of that.
I think it will. I think that's going to be held off. I don't think it's going to happen September 25th.
October?
They're going to wait until after Trump receives the Republican nomination for president.
That's going to be January, maybe February of 2023.
They will drag it out. Look at how long they've dragged out this January 6th hearings.
Well, look, you know why they're doing this now? You know why they're doing this now and not really giving a shit about the time? Look, they know that the Republicans are poised to take back the House and the Senate.
Yeah.
Okay, barring some real traumatic thing, they understand that they want to be able to take back the House and the Senate. The Democrats are not going to prevent that from happening.
Right.
What they're not trying to prevent Trump from running from 2023 and 2024. They want him under indictment as soon as the Republicans take over the House and Senate, they want him under indictment at that time, because if they would have followed through with the plan that I introduced to them a couple of months back, take control of the House, take control of the Senate. The Speaker of the House does not need to be a member of the House in order to be confirmed Speaker of the House. Nominate Donald J. Trump as Speaker of the House, impeach Biden and Harris, and put Trump back in as president. That's your plan. That's your plan. That's the only way you get around the corrupt election, because they can't corrupt every single race for every single Republican running around. They can only do it by gerrymandering the vote for president, by manipulating the vote count for the Electoral College, by picking out states that they can borderline push one way or the other. But they can't control every one of the races across the board. So what they want to do is get Trump under indictment before the Republicans take the House, because the Democrats are not stupid. They know they can nominate Trump to come in as next speaker. And they know that as soon as the Republicans have the House and the Senate, they can push for an impeachment. So they know, listen, he's got a chance of coming in here in the next 6 months. In the next 6 months and turning this whole damn thing upside down. We got to get rid of him now. Forget about the midterms. We already lost the midterms. We're not going to get the House. We're not going to get the Senate, but we got to keep that son of a bitch out of the House, out of the speakership now, because that is the threat now. That is the most feasible threat to them now, is Trump coming in as Speaker of the House. That's why they're rushing all this stuff in now. That's why you're going to see an indictment come out before October, because they want to say, well, we'll put it out there just before October. So maybe there's a slight chance we can keep the Senate. Maybe there's a chance we can keep the Senate, but what that still means that we're going to deal with him and the Speaker of the House, because we know we're going to lose the House. So they want the indictment to come down then, so that that'll take the wishy-washy Republicans that might have voted for him for Speaker of the House and take them out of the game. That's what's happening. That's my official prediction.
That's an interesting point of view.
And if you think for a second it's too far-fetched, just remember they raided his house from the FBI.
Yeah.
Unthinkable. It was unthinkable a year ago. It happened 2 days ago. Do not think that this is beyond their scope. They have it in their game plan, because they're not as stupid as we paint them to be. They're evil.
Oh, I don't think they're stupid. I think they're just devious.
Well, I can, like I said, I can also.
They're insidious.
I can see that type of deal playing out, but I can also see a play in 2024 or the 2024 election after if Trump's nominated to be the Republican candidate, waiting until 3 to 5 months, maybe 6 months prior to the election, coming down with an indictment against Trump, which is going to leave the Republican Party scrambling to find a candidate to run.
Well,
I could see that.
Even if that happens, remember, being convicted of a crime does not prevent you from becoming president of the United States.
Sure.
It doesn't prevent you from being elected president. The only things that prevent you from being elected president of the United States is that you can't be an American citizen. You have to be 35 years of age. Those are the only two criteria. You have to be born on American soil.
Crimes that can literally prevent you from holding any office of public trust.
But nothing that they can possibly charge him with. Nothing they can charge him with will disqualify him from being able to run.
Right.
And nothing they can charge him with will disqualify him from not only running, but winning and serving. It doesn't matter what. You can be a convicted murderer and be president of the United States. You can do it. All right. But there are certain rules as to who can be nominated for Speaker of the House and who can come in as Speaker of the House. Now listen, I know it sounds far-fetched and it sounds far-flung, but I'm telling you right now, this is to prevent him from coming in as that. Now, here's the beauty about why I think my thing is right. The if they prevent him from coming in as Speaker, the Republicans are never going to admit, oh, by the way, we were going to nominate him as Speaker.
Right,
They're not going to admit that.
Right.
They're not going to admit it. And the Democrats are never going to come out and say, we did this to prevent him from becoming Speaker. They're never going to say that either. Because neither party wants to admit what the plan is out in public now, because then one party knows what the other party's got planning. We're just smart enough to look through the smoke and see where the fire's coming from. And this is what it's about. It's about preventing him from becoming Speaker. Because they might turn around and make a rules change very soon. Remember, Congress can set their own rules. Right. Congress can set their own rules, and while they're under Democrat control, they turn around and say, hey, listen, by the way, to nominate somebody for Speaker of the House, they can't be under criminal indictment or federal indictment. There you go. There goes Trump's opportunity. There goes the Republican opportunity. That's why he's going to be under indictment in less than 2 months. And it'll be for the Espionage Act. Because there's a handwritten note that's something that he wrote with a couple of different initials, And what they're saying is when Trump used to take stuff from the White House and bring it to Mar-a-Lago, you're not supposed to be able to bring documents out of the White House unless they're declassified. So Trump had a general declassification order that said anything I bring out of the White House from now on is declassified. Anything I bring with me to Mar-a-Lago that I'm working on, I'm declassifying. Not because he was going to release it to the public, but because it was declassified, so he would have access to it to read it off White House grounds.
Right.
Now, one judge came out and said, well, that's not, you can't do that by issuing a blanket statement that you've declassified stuff. The piece of paper that they're talking about was before the judge made that order, this little handwritten note having something to do with something. It's like 5 or 6 little initials they put on there, and they're saying that piece of paper had vital national security implications, and that him having that note is a violation of the Espionage Act because it was something to be shared with Great Britain, something that he shared with Great Britain.
It's ridiculous.
Of course it's ridiculous. This is the last straw that they can get because they know they're about to lose the whole thing. Their whole house of cards is about to come tumbling down. The only thing they can hope for is that Trump either drops dead, gets assassinated, or gets indicted, because everything else is going to fail in comparison. Well, whether or not he can undo the damage that's been done in the last couple of years, I don't know. I don't know if it can be done. We've spent ourselves beyond the brink as it is right now. And until the states are willing to... I got a few
things here, Frank. Okay, on removing both Biden and Harris from office, you would have to have a 2/3 majority in the Senate.
Right.
To do that. Okay, they're not going to get that.
No.
Okay, so that's the biggest flaw with it. Here's the other thing. This kind of
I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying that they're going to use the same tactics that the Democrats used against Trump for the last 2 years. They're going to do investigation after investigation, and the House can keep impeaching them 1,000 times. Make the news constantly about impeachment and about investigations, and you strip the wind out of their sails. You completely cut them off at the knees. They can't do anything. They're not going to get it impeached through the Senate, but they could use the same tactics that the Democrats have done to destroy Trump's second half of his term, to destroy Biden's second half of the term. And the best way to do that is with Trump sitting in the speaker's chair.
Okay, so
they're not going to get him impeached without a proof of a crime,
right?
But they can make his life a living hell,
right?
Okay, here's some things. Okay, Title 18, U.S. Code, Section 2071, concealment, removal, or mutilation generally. This is the law that Trump supposedly has violated, or that's being investigated. Okay. Whoever willfully or unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, or destroys, or attempts to do so, or with the intent to do so, takes and carries away any record, proceeding, map, book, paper, document, or other thing filed or deposited with any clerk or office of any court of the United States, or in public, or in any public office, or with any judicial or public officer of the United States, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years, or both. Whoever having custody of any such record, proceeding, map, book, document, paper, or other thing willfully or unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, falsifies, or destroys the same shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years, or both, and shall forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding any office under the United States. As used in this subsection, the term office does not include the office held by any person as a retired officer or of the armed forces of the United States. That's why they're trying to do this, because that would immediately disqualify him from ever becoming president again.
Possibly. Fight that.
Especially under the last title about the armed services.
Well, then doesn't this, unless I'm reading this wrong, doesn't this cover what fucking Hillary Rotten Clinton did with those emails?
Yes.
Yeah, but she has to be convicted of it first.
That's
Which means
fair. You're
She's got
right.
to be indicted for it first, and they weren't going to do that with James Comey at the head of the FBI. They
No,
weren't going to
exactly.
do that with Christopher Wray at the head of the FBI, or any of these other cronies over there.
Mhm.
But if they
See,
can
this
get
was-
conviction on this, that would disqualify Trump from ever being president again.
Mhm.
This was the biggest gripe I had with Trump. I said he had to go. The only thing he needed to do was just clean house on day one. Put his own people in at every single location. Oh, you work for the government, you're fired. Get rid of all of them and start over. But he didn't. He trusted too many people, and now he's admitting it. But I used to get yelled at. I used to get yelled at by people saying, "Oh, well, you got to cut him some slack. You got to cut him some slack. Why are you being so this? Why are you?" And I was like, because you got to get rid of them. You got to get rid of these people. Got to get rid of them. Now he comes out and admits, I made some mistakes. I should have fired all of these people. I should have cleaned house. And everybody says, "Oh, good, you were finally. Oh, good, you're admitting it." Well, why did I get yelled at?
Well, here's the flip side of that coin. If he would have fired the director of the FBI immediately upon taking office and put somebody in his stead, they would have said, well, he's doing that to cover up his Russia collusion. He doesn't want his Russia collusion investigated.
Yeah.
Okay. There would have been so much political fallout doing that it would have been even more destructive to his term as presidency than all the stuff that they did.
Yeah.
It would have been, it would have prevented him from being able to do anything.
Look, I'm not one who's going to say if you get the fox out of the hen house that you have to contend with more foxes. If you keep the foxes outside your gate, get the one out of the hen house, you still don't have a fox in the hen house. You know, I think he could have done a lot to police what was going on there and done a lot to control the narrative by saying, okay, listen, how about I follow through with a couple of my promises and lock her up. Let's start getting that investigation going on over there instead of picking and choosing all of these lackeys, instead of putting Bolton in charge of crap, and instead of putting all of these other assholes that are all of these government interns that had no loyalty to nation or anything. They only had loyalty to party. I think he could have better control the information. It wouldn't have mattered of who was saying this or who was saying that. I think if he would have followed through with a lot of what he said he was going to do, he would have better controlled things. Instead, he relied on too many insiders.
But he didn't know. He's never been in that position with politics. And I can understand when you don't know, who do I fire? Who's the real person I need to keep in this chain of command to make this stuff work? I can understand why he did that. But by the way, you mentioned Bolton. Did you know that Mike Pompeo and John Bolton were just, there's an assassination plot against them? Another plot against U.S. officials?
Well, listen, Bolton's been rubbing people the wrong way since he was throwing staff down the stairs at the Pentagon. You know, it doesn't surprise me somebody would want to whack him. As far as Pompeo, I'm sure ruffled plenty of foreign dignitaries the wrong way as Secretary of Defense. So I'm sure that, you know,
it's coming from ISIS and Iran. $300,000 for Bolton, $1 million from Pompeo.
Yeah, it's all chump change. Ain't worth going to jail for. They know that too. But even still, just because somebody's got an assassination attempt on him doesn't necessarily mean he's part of our team all of a sudden.
No, I'm not saying that, but
I'm still having a lot of second thoughts about this alleged FBI attack in Indiana that happened so quickly after that. I kind of think that might have been Bob up on the 5th floor. Hey, Bob, listen. Here's some tactical gear and a gun. run in the front door like you're going to do something. We'll tackle you. We'll put you to the ground, bring you out the back door. Tomorrow, just go back up to your desk. We'll say that we made an arrest. Nobody's going to follow up with it. I don't put any of it past it.
Well, yeah. Given all the other problems right now, who knows? Because it seems really weird. But the world is destabilizing. I mean, it's happening right in front of our eyes. Salman Rushdie just got stabbed.
Yeah.
The point is we've seen someone come after. They want to try and assassinate former President Bush. We've got Michael Bolton, Mike Pompeo. They have assassination attempts going against them. We've got Salman Rushdie they attempted to assassinate him. They attempted to assassinate Lee Zeldin in New York. We are watching our society crumble. And it's because of what we are watching them destroy our rights and our freedoms, all under the auspices of, well, this is in your best interest. Just give up your rights, give up your freedoms, don't think, obey, and it'll be okay. And everything's falling apart.
Well, the left is encouraging the assault on the conservatives.
The person that attacked the FBI office, Schiffer was his name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Had a nail gun, which Dan Raines already pointed out. And he was shot and killed.
Yeah.
During that attack.
I still keep thinking of myself allegedly. I'm sorry. I don't trust anything anymore. I don't trust anything anymore.
He's wearing body armor. And he's shot by police near Cincinnati after raising a gun towards officials.
He could get body armor, but he couldn't get a gun.
Mm-hmm.
But he could get body armor, but not a gun. He can go to freaking Home Depot and get himself a cordless nail gun, 15 gauge finish nailer, but couldn't get a gun. But he's got body armor. Listen, I know a lot of guys who know where to get guns, but have no clue where to get body armor. Very rarely is it the other way around.
True.
And supposedly he had a Truth Social account that's since been taken down.
Of course.
Convenient.
Of course.
And I love it how all these accounts get immediately taken down where nobody can check anything out about the person, about what their claims are.
Verification is the enemy of the process.
Exactly.
Dude, I went through my Facebook list out that way. I have over, I don't know how many thousands of people on my Facebook friends list. I know at least 30 people that come up in my birthday listings that are dead. 30 people that have passed away that I don't have the heart to delete their account because I shared something with these people, whether it was a conversation or a moment or something like that. And I still think about them from time to time. And some of them are very, very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Those are people that just died. Those are people that just died. Every time you get one of these people that gets some national notoriety for some crime or something like that, they manage to get their profiles all completely eliminated within moments of it happening. Within moments of it happening. You ever try to find somebody on Facebook by using just their name? Facebook
Not
is not
possible.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Facebook does not have. Remember MySpace? You could look at somebody's name, their age, their gender. You could look them up by what town they lived in. There was like 30 different criteria you could put up on MySpace that would help you localize and isolate the people that you thought it was. Facebook gives you, other than the name, gives you one option. With city. You look them up by their name and by the city.
Mm-hmm.
If you lived in, all right, say part of Queens, New York, but you live in Jamaica, Queens. You can't put Jamaica, Queens. You have to put New York City. So now when you look for that one person's name, you're looking at 11 million people instead of 500,000. Because I can't find somebody half the time on Facebook if I don't know who the hell they are.
Yeah.
How the hell how are the authorities able to get these people? We can't even identify the shooter yet, but they can get their profiles removed in 10 minutes. Of course, like they never existed. Unless the guy's got a lot of right-leaning conspiracy shit on his page.
Well, then
It'll be left up there for everybody to explore every single nuance of his personality.
Talking about identifying people, facial recognition, all that stuff. When was the last time any of you guys traveled outside of the country?
I don't go outside the country.
3-4 years ago.
All right. I don't know if I've brought it up in this before, but Lindsay and I went to Cabo, Mexico, August of 2021. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when we came back in, we were going through the airport, and I shit you not, I go to pull my passport out, and the guy behind the counter says, "Pull your mask down." Me and Lindsay, don't pull our passports out, nothing. Pull our masks down. He goes, "Lindsay and Jeremy, you two are good to go." Points his camera at us. That was it. Didn't grab our passports, didn't do anything. The fucking camera, he was able to pick up who we were.
Yeah.
And I got news for you. You know why everybody was forced to wear the masks? You can change your nose. You can change your lips. You can do anything that you want. The one thing you can't do is you can't change your eyes. You could change the shape of the outside of them. You could change your brow ridge. You can change a lot about it, but you can't change the placement of your eyes in relationship to one another. So when everybody's walking around with a mask on and more cameras are picking up, what that's doing is helping the cameras better identify people by focusing on the one part of the anatomy that's most identifiable, and that's the eyes. So if I had to be someplace with a mask on, you know what I was doing? Wearing my sunglasses. If I'm wearing a mask, I'm wearing my sunglasses. You're not going to see my eyes if I'm wearing a mask. I'm sorry, I'm not going to help you out. And all of these friggin' Facebook people out there with their photographs of them with their mask on. Look, I'm helping. No, you're just making the search algorithm that much more identifiable. That's what you're doing. You're aiding.
Well, you don't see, and actually been doing these videos, but prior to doing these videos and stuff, you didn't find very many pictures of me on social media.
Can understand that.
Okay. One of the biggest sources for a lot of this facial recognition has been profile pictures and family photos and blah, 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 blah. All this stuff that people are sharing on social media, they don't realize and don't understand that this is all being utilized and put in databases. Okay. In fact, Facebook has touted their facial recognitions to identify you when you're in photos.
Well, you know how
other people share.
Yeah, you don't have to tag photos anymore for Facebook to recognize who's in it. I've had the alert come up and say so and so just posted a picture of you, and it turns out it's not me. It's a guy who looks like me, but Facebook made the mistake of thinking it was me.
And I don't ever get those.
Happens? You know how that happens? Because somebody put a picture of one of my brothers up, and I have a brother that I look remarkably similar to. God help him. But when Facebook first started allowing people to tag photographs, you know what I loved? My hobby was. My friend Shannon is a professional photographer. She's also a lawyer. She's married to my best friend Peter. She would post hundreds of pictures that she had taken from various things that she went to, concerts, dance recitals, events, whatever. I would go to all of her photos and tag every element of the photo except the people in the photo. If there was a door exit, I tagged it door exit. If there was a microwave, I tagged it microwave. I would load up a photo, take one photo out of her album, and put 100 tags on it just to drive her crazy, because it was something I would do at 3 a.m. while I had nothing else to do. I found it funny. She had a picture of a guy as a dance recital, as a ballet dancer, and the guy's up in the air, like 3 feet up in the air, doing like a spin. I tagged it invisible unicycle. Because that's what he looked like he was doing. He looked like he was riding a unicycle. You can't tag anything innocuous now on any photograph in Facebook. You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't even tag like a location in the photo. You have to tag the location outside the photo. Say, where was this picture taken? You can't tag anything because the whole purpose of the photo collection was about getting their facial recognition down. And by people like me who were tagging stupid things like I would tag a picture of somebody's dog.
Right.
You know, oh, it's Bob the dog. No, they don't want to know who Bob the dog is. Bob the dog might look like the ugly guy who lives up the road. You're messing with their facial recognition program. So they stopped allowing you to tag anything except somebody's face. Now the system is so good where if you take a photo and there's a picture on the wall behind you and the picture is clear as day, if you try to tag the photo, you can't. It knows that's a two-dimensional object now. And it won't let you tag the photo. It won't let you tag a photo. And we enabled all of this.
Yeah.
Freely.
And if you think that the government doesn't have a friggin' extension cord from Zuckerberg's ass to the CIA mouth where he can crap all this information all the way over to them, you're out of your mind. Of course they got it. It's all connected. Every email, every chat message, everything that we got goes right over there.
Yeah, we already know that the NSA has a copy of everything that's been done by citizens.
But if you're not doing anything illegal, why are you so worried? Why does it bother you that we collect all this information? Unless you're not a criminal, are you?
Not this
Why
week.
Why are you so concerned?
Because this
Give
week
up your freedom.
Yeah,
give up your liberty. Give it all up. It's fine. You can trust us. It's all a sham. And I'll be waiting for the feds to show up at my door tomorrow. I know they're going to be here. I got to put the sign up that says come back with a warrant.
Well, I get you.
That's my favorite response when somebody knocks on a public bathroom door. Come back with a warrant.
Well, if they're coming to get what you got in that stall, I don't know. I might let them have it.
Okay, gentlemen, I've got
Here's the captain's log.
Hey, Jeremy, this is right down the road from you.
Well, okay, what you got before I go?
Mike's doing his magic trick again. There he goes.
Let's see. What do we have? National Security Agency's Mercenary Secret Project in Utah Desert will intercept, analyze, and store the something of the
yottabytes.
The contents of the world's electronic communications.
Okay.
Yeah, it's part of the NSA's recordings of the United States of every keystroke that you do on the internet.
Gotcha.
How are they allowed to do this?
Patriot Act.
Well, that's the other thing that Trump should have. That's the other thing that Trump should have done right from day one.
Just
get rid of the Patriot Act. But you know what? There were plenty of people on our side of the aisle that were giving us the. Well, what are you worried about? You're not breaking the law. If you're not breaking the law, what do you have to hide? Let them look up your anus. You give them everything. You have nothing to hide.
Trump did something positive. I can't remember exactly what it was. And somebody posted a meme up of a lip from Shameless. And it says, "Now do the Patriot Act, you fucking fuck."
Yeah. The fact is, it gets renewed every time it comes up. And that's why the NSA has the ability to copy everything and listen to every phone call. It's Patriot Act.
I was actually trying to find out how much a yottabyte is.
A yottabyte?
That would be a million billion. No, a billion quadrillions would be one yottabyte. Because after gigabyte, I believe it goes.
Hold on a second.
I
got it
got
right
I
here.
know that's a lot.
Gigabytes, terabytes, and then I believe it's yottabytes after
No. Gigabyte, terabyte, petabyte,
that. Petabyte.
hexabyte, zettabyte, and yottabyte.
Oh, it's that far up?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
A yottabyte is 1024 to, hold on a second.
10 to the 24th
I'll
power.
actually post this chart. Give me just a second.
Sounds like it's 10 to the 24th power of what? Oh, hey. Smile.
Who?
You were a superstar for a second.
Oh, sorry. Hit the wrong
Okay,
button.
where is that yottabyte pic chart?
I can't figure out how to change my name. I was going to put yottabyte as my middle name. This damn computer's too smart for me.
No, you go into
A
settings.
yottabyte would require 1 million data centers.
I can't even conceive.
There's the chart that I'm looking for.
I can't even conceive of how big a number that is.
No. Keep hitting the wrong damn button.
That's like talking about the distance between the Earth to the sun and beyond. It's just, there's no concept of it. Oh, here we go.
Wow.
10 to the 24th power.
Petabytes.
So
10
that's
to the 24th power of bytes. Okay, per bytes.
24 zeros. And a byte, this isn't bits, this is bytes. So
Right.
that's 8 bits.
Yes. So, trying to think of something that would make sense to compare it to.
A metric fuck ton.
More than that.
That's it. That's it. You got it right, Jeremy. That's about how you would. That's the best description of it right there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a.
Well, we're starting to see terabytes in hard drives.
Oh yeah, easily.
Okay.
I've got-
And actually, in some
I've got a
phones, we're
terabyte
actually
hard
starting
drive
to
in
see-
my phone.
We're
Yeah.
starting to see petabytes.
Not
Okay,
yet.
which is 1,000 terabytes.
Oh,
So,
where is it?
a yottabyte would be
3 terabytes. It was like $25.
Yeah, the price has gone down a lot. It used to be more expensive.
so an exabyte is 1,000 petabytes. A zettabyte, so this would be 1,000.
The yottabyte is more. That is more
Billion.
than the number of.
A
trans-
yottabyte is 1,000,000,000 petabytes,
Yeah, but that's
or
more.
1,000,000,000,000 terabytes.
That's more than the calculations that go on in your brain to breathe.
So that literally 1,000,000,000,000 terabytes.
That's insane.
Yeah. I can't even imagine what that all adds up to.
Okay, and it wasn't that long ago that we were thinking that megabytes were huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's all cat pictures. God help us.
I would say I'm I got to say, I'm actually pretty well at not being an offender of that. I have 6 cats, and very, very few pictures of them make it online.
I have no cat pictures online.
I guarantee you will not see a cat picture on anything connected to me. If there's a cat picture and it's got something to do with me, then that's a fake account.
So I take it you don't like cats, Mike?
Indifferent.
All right. Well, when you come down to visit, we'll turn you into a cat lover.
Cats love me. I can take them and leave them.
When I come down to visit, I'll have to get a hotel.
I like
Why,
dogs.
you're allergic?
Highly.
Don't worry about it. We'll give you some. We'll give you some Benadryl. You'll be fine.
Okay. Well, we've been going for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, I got to get going. I actually. I have to go tomorrow and give some expert advice. I can't go to work yet because I'm still not allowed to go up to work, but I have to give some expert advice to the gentleman at the company that I work with on how to install something that they've never installed before.
No,
So
that's consultation fee, Frank.
Yeah, it's a consultation. But at least I don't have to go to the job. I don't have to do anything. I just have to go look at a bracket in the morning, but I have to go do it before they go out to do the job. So
that's consultation fee. That's 10
That's on my
times your
way.
hourly rate.
It's on my way to my physical therapy, so it's not a big deal. I don't even have to get out of my truck. No. All right, guys. Listen, have a great night. Listen, I had this very spirited conversation tonight. I think we had a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. And yes, from me to you guys, be safe, shoot straight. I'm going to go check out. I'll catch you guys later.
All right.
Be good. Next week, we have some big announcements of something that Jeremy and I are working on as far as getting a couple of nice competitions getting rolling in. So
nice.
We'll see what happens.
Nice.
Jan, love you, baby. Night.
Love you. Good night, guys.
Night, guys.
Night.